monthly meeting of HASP. My name is Barbara Stejink, President of HASP. We are so glad you have joined us this morning for this very first Zoom monthly meeting. There seem to be many firsts for us these days as we all adjust to new ways of doing what we always viewed as normal. Over this past holiday weekend, I was reminiscing about celebrations which were always a part of Independence Day during my childhood. Perhaps yours were much the same. The day began with a wonderful grand parade. For me, it was in a neighboring town. Then a picnic and lawn games with family at my aunt's home. And finally, an amazing display of fireworks in the evening for the entire community. But this year, everything is different, including our celebrations, which need to be in small groups. This last weekend, there were no parades. And I was anticipating watching virtual fireworks, but much to my surprise, at around 10 o'clock, I heard a lot of commotion in the sky and walked out to see that our neighbors, yours and mine, brightened up the Holland sky with a beautiful display of colors and designs to help us all end the holiday with a big bang. Hopefully, in this everything is different year, we all have found that we have more opportunities and time to reflect on our history and on important issues of our own times. Today's program will encourage us to do just that. And now I have a few announcements and reminders for you. First, if you have not done so yet, please renew your membership by going to the link that has been included in several of Kim's emails, constant contacts, and the new weekly HASP happenings. Just click on the membership link and it will take you to the renewal form, which is quite easy to use. However, if you should need assistance, please email Kim at mendels@hope.edu. The deadline is July 20th, and we thank you for your support of HASP by renewing your membership. Our summer curriculum classes are off to a great start. Another first for many of us going into the virtual classroom. We all know it's not the same as in-person classes, but the virtual classroom is not really so bad. It actually has some benefits, such as getting up to get a cup of coffee or using the restroom without anybody noticing that you have left. We hope that you will continue to join and enjoy the class presentations during the summer months. In case you did not know or perhaps have forgotten, our classes this summer are being recorded so that you can view them on the HASP YouTube anytime at your own convenience. Also, if you are missing the company of your HASP friends, we encourage you to organize your own small groups for discussion related to the classes that you enjoy this summer. Especially while the weather is warm, but not perhaps during this heat wave, you can meet in a park, someone's yard, deck, porch, or patio to be together and engage in good HASP discussions. And now, Carla Verschure, Chairperson of Membership, will introduce our guest and new member.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Great. It's wonderful to be back with you, even though it is only virtual. We know the day will come when we can physically share space together and greet each other personally. Until then, it's wonderful to spend time like this with like-minded people who enjoy learning. Today, I'd like to welcome two guests. As you know, in the past, when people are interested in joining HASP, we ask them to attend a monthly meeting. So we are continuing that and asking them to attend a virtual meeting. And today we have two potential new members with us. Unfortunately, we're not able to put their pictures up in front of you now, but hopefully that day will come. So first of all, I'd like to welcome Sherry Rona and Royetta Doe. Usually we'd give a round of applause, but perhaps wherever you are, you can wave, applaud, give a thumbs up, whatever, to welcome Sherry and Royetta. We also have two new members. Actually, our first new member is a returning member. It's Jan Benningfield, and she is being reinstated. And welcome back, Jan. We're glad you're joining us again. And we have a new member, Mary Jo O'Connor. Welcome, Mary, and we look forward to the day when we can meet you personally. It's wonderful to share this time with you, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Carla. We do look forward to the time when we will be able to see and greet our guests and new members in person.
Lisa, I can see it.
Now, HASP member David Moore will introduce this morning's speaker and program. David?
Good morning, everybody. It's so nice to virtually see you all. Can you see me? Okay. In April 2017, a divisive national election had just occurred, and a group of red and blue citizens came together in rural Ohio with a family therapist, found that through a structured group process, they could actually change how they saw one another, and they could find common ground. That process grew into an organization, Better Angels, now renamed Braver Angels, a volunteer organization present in all 50 states, working to bridge our political divide. As we approach the 2020 election while experiencing a global viral pandemic, that divide appears to have widened, and even science has fallen victim to politics. If you've looked at the documentary or had a chance to watch part of that, you saw a structured red and blue workshop. To fill us in more fully on the details of Braver Angels, to give us a better sense of how the process of change works, Donna Murphy will speak with us today. I sought Donna to address our organization because I feel that we have a specific and unique link or fit to Braver Angels in that we are committed to civil discourse, we are practiced in civic participation. Donna is lead organizer with Braver Angels. She's been with the organization since 2017. In her former life, she was an economist in the private and public sectors and worked with the US State Department. She's an author, a scholar, and an all-around wonderful human being. I am exceedingly pleased to welcome Donna today as our first virtual monthly meeting presenter. Donna, welcome to HASP.
Thank you, David. As David said, I'm Donna Murphy, lead organizer for the nonprofit citizens organization Braver Angels. And I'm going to talk to you today about political polarization and how Braver Angels activities can help reunite America. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. And okay, there we go. Here's our logo, Braver Angels. But first, let's go over a few features of Zoom. That's what we all have to do these days at the beginning, right? So number one, you'll see at the upper right-hand corner, you can toggle between speaker and gallery view. There are so many of us here today that we don't all fit on one screen. And so if you want to see who else is here, go ahead and use the arrow buttons on the left and the right. Number three, at the bottom, you'll see a microphone. We all enter in as on mute, and we want you to stay muted unless you are called upon to ask a question or say something, in which case you'll click on the microphone, unmute yourself, speak, and then mute yourself again. Number four is the video. So you can stop or start your video. If you're having very limited bandwidth, if things are kind of breaking up, sometimes if you stop your video, that can improve your reception. Now, there's going to be a few times when we ask you to say something. And so the first time we're going to ask you to raise your hand. To do that, you click on participants at the bottom of your screen. That will open up a sidebar. At the bottom of that sidebar, you're going to see a hand. These days, hands usually are blue. Sometimes you may have to click on the 3 dots more to see your hand. Anyway, you click on that hand, and then we will know to call on you. That's going to be especially for the time after breakouts when we ask you to please state a cause of polarization. Then at the end, during the Q&A portion, there'll be 2 ways to talk. One is, again, by raising your hand. And the second preferable way is to click on chat, open up on the sidebar below the participants. You'll see chat, and you'll see that you can click on the drop-down menu. You'll find HASP Virtual Classroom as one of your selections. That's actually Kimberly Mendel's in disguise. Anyway, you can go ahead and type in a question for me, and Kimberly will make sure that I see it. So there we go. Now, you may have noticed that America has become more politically polarized, like magnets. Here's what polarized magnets look like. An invisible force keeps them apart. Here's what polarized people look like. Compared to 1994, in 2014, there were fewer Democrats and Republicans in the middle. People became more consistently liberal and more consistently conservative. Here's also what polarized people look like. Between 1960 and 2016, the number of Democrats and Republicans agree that they'd be displeased if their child married someone of the opposite political party increased by almost 50%. The share of Democrats who have very unfavorable opinions of the Republican Party has jumped from 16 to 38% from 1994 to 2014. Similarly, the share of Republicans with very negative opinions of the Democratic Party has also more than doubled, from 17 to 43%. This is affective polarization, a rise in mutual dislike. But is polarization a symptom of something deeper? According to author Jonathan Rausch, to some considerable extent, what we are calling polarization in the United States seems not to be ideological or even rational. We may rationalize it on ideological grounds, and it may drive us toward ideological discord. But what we are in fact doing is satisfying a deep, atavistic craving to belong to an in-group and to bind ourselves to our group by feeling and displaying animosity toward an out-group. In other words, tribalism. Humans are pre-wired for tribalism. We have sports tribes, pretty harmless. Religious tribes, which can be extremely harmful, and political tribes. But surely, tribalistic tendencies have always been with us. What are the causes of modern day polarization? Again, look at that question because you're going to answer it. What are the causes of polarization? We're going to divide you into little breakout rooms. Please take a minute to get settled and then have a discussion about the causes of polarization for 8 minutes. Please do this in talking stick fashion. In other words, one person speaks for 1 minute with no crosstalk, and then another person speaks. After everyone has spoken once, use any remaining time for open conversation. When it's time to return to the main group, you'll see a 30-second countdown clock. After you return, I'll ask for a small number of you to raise your electronic hands and briefly name a cause of polarization. Okay, I'll now ask our Zoom manager, Leo Herzog, to send you off to your breakout rooms. Leo? Okay. Welcome back indeed. I'm now going to ask for a small number of you to raise your electronic hands. Remember, you have to hit participants at the bottom of participant window. You see a little hand, you click on that. So raise your hands if you're called on, unmute yourself, and briefly name a cause of polarization. I'm sorry, but we're going to cut you off after 30 seconds, so please keep it short. An example of a response would be the passing of the greatest generation. Those people knew how to come together for the good of the country. So now go ahead, raise your hand if you'd like to tell us a cause of polarization, and I'll call on you. Okay, so John and Shay Cobbs, go ahead and unmute yourself and tell me what you want to add.
Human tendency towards confirmation bias.
Okay, that's a good one. Okay, and how about Claudia Berry? Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. Demonizing.
We had a couple. One was a fear of displacement, and the other was single media sources.
Okay.
Your information came from distinct places that didn't cross over, and so all of the news that you digested is biased and leaves little room for cross conversation. And you have to know a whole lot about something to counter that, to find common ground.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next we have Judy Parr. Please unmute yourself and provide your contribution.
I think one of the things was a fear of change and a fear of strangeness and things that are different from what we're accustomed to.
Okay, fear. Okay. How about anybody else? Thank you. These are wonderful responses. I really appreciate them. Any other responses? Oh, come on, guys. Okay, Brad and Barbara Bright, go ahead, unmute yourself.
One of the things we talked about was the lack of bipartisanship in Congress, especially the trend over the last, say, 25 years. The senators and congressmen no longer socialize together. They don't talk to each other. They demonize each other, and that pushes us to be more polarized as well.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. Okay, sold. Very good. Those are excellent causes of polarization. Of course, there are many, many others. For example, geographic self-sorting. We tend to live in areas or communities that are like-minded, and so we don't hear from our neighbors alternative points of view necessarily. Another one is gerrymandering, which if when done by one party or another can, I guess, kind of crack or pack people within a district, and that can cause polarization as well. Okay, so I'm going to now continue with my little presentation here. Okay, and okay. All right, so Jonathan Haidt writes that extreme partisanship may be addictive. Partisans who find ways to rationalize their beliefs get a little hit of dopamine, like drug addicts. Okay, these are zombies, but you get the drift. Here's how retired Episcopal Bishop Mark Beckwith put it regarding his participation in a public conversation about guns between two blues and two reds. It was billed as a conversation, but almost immediately I felt myself launching into a contest. I was competitive. I wanted to win. The next visceral response was arrogance. Not only did I want to win, but as the conversation continued, the more I felt that not only was I right, but the other side was wrong. I listened, not for valid points made by the other side, but for holes in their argument, the inaccuracy of their data, and the overall weakness of their position. My arrogance was in full throttle. Polarization has grown deep roots. It is a stubborn problem. We've seen this situation before in America in the mid-19th century. Indeed, the name of our nonprofit was inspired by two quotes from President Abraham Lincoln. In his first inaugural address, he said, "We are not enemies, but friends. We must not be enemies. Though passion may have strained, it must not break our bonds of affection. The mystic chords of memory will yet swell the chorus of the union when again touched, as surely they will be by the better angels of our nature." In his 1862 State of the Union address, Lincoln said, "The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise with the occasion. So, we shall be touched by our better angels, and we must rise. We must be brave." How does Braver Angels address polarization? At the grassroots level, by connecting people through workshops, debates, and alliances. Connecting people face-to-face, or more recently, computer screen to computer screen. The mission of Braver Angels is to depolarize a divided nation and to build a house united. Here is our pledge. As individuals, we try to understand the other side's point of view, even if we don't agree with it. In our communities, we engage those we disagree with, looking for common ground and ways to work together. In politics, we support principles that bring us together rather than divide us. At the heart of what we do is this: we don't try to get people to change their minds about the issues. We try to get them to change their minds about each other. We began shortly after the 2016 election of President Trump. Our president, David Blankenhorn in New York City, called his friend David Lapp in Southern Ohio and said, "Everybody here in New York is so depressed. They're walking around with their heads hung low and sighing." David Lapp responded, "Well, that's interesting because people here in Lebanon, Ohio are happy. They have hope and they're excited." They decided to get together Trump supporters and Hillary supporters. David Blankenhorn called Bill Doherty, a University of Minnesota professor and family therapist, to tell him. Bill Doherty asked, "Oh, what's your plan?" Blankenhorn responded, "Well, we don't have a plan. We thought we'd just wing it." Doherty said, "Oh no, that could be a disaster. Allow me to help you." Doherty put together some structured exercises from his decades of experience in family therapy, and the first workshop was born. Many of you watched a 50-minute documentary about our second ever Braver Angels workshop in Waynesville, Ohio in April 2017. You were sent a link to it, and if you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, I hope you will. That was a red-blue workshop. Hey, here's one in Michigan. In a red-blue workshop, we bring together an even number of reds and blues to listen to and learn about each other. Trained moderators use proven exercises that create conversations which foster trust and respect. Red-blue workshops bust stereotypes and forge relationships between conservatives and liberals. We also offer skills workshops, where we provide tips on how to have conversations with people you disagree with politically. We emphasize listening and speaking skills, and we practice those skills using role-playing exercises. We hold Braver Angels debates, where anyone who attends can speak in favor or opposed to a resolution, speaking from the heart. The winner of the debate is not a team because there are none, or the most silver-tongued orator, but rather knowledge. Participants hear new perspectives and gain knowledge about a subject. Then there's our Depolarizing Within workshop, and here you see it online. Online is how we've been doing most all our events since COVID-19 hit. Too often we stereotype, dismiss, or ridicule our fellow citizens who support the other political side. The Depolarizing Within workshop helps participants become more aware of their own inner polarizer. In other words, how polarized are you? It teaches how to be critical without demonizing, dismissing, or stereotyping large swaths of the population. And it offers strategies for intervening constructively in social conversations with like-minded people when these conversations veer into contempt and ridicule for people who hold other political views. You can attend a Depolarizing Within workshop this month. HASP Director Kimberly Mendels is going to send around an email with a registration link to a free Depolarizing Within workshop being held July 18th at 10 a.m. ET. People who have participated in the workshops can form local Braver Angels alliances, which keep reds and blues connected to and working with each other. Alliances run single-issue discussions, organize workshops and debates, hold potluck dinners, and much more. Alliances actualize Lincoln's words, "We are not enemies, but friends." I'll also mention two of Braver Angels' newest initiatives. The first is called With Malice Toward None. We don't want the months after the November presidential election to be just as polarized as the months before. The With Malice Toward None initiative is signing up churches and synagogues, colleges and universities, and other organizations, including, I hope, HASP, to commit before the election to holding a With Malice Toward None event after the election, no matter who wins or loses. At that event, and thousands of other locally directed events like it, citizens will confront their emotions, positive and negative, stemming from the outcome of the election, establish and build capacities for working together across passionate disagreements in order to address common civic challenges and commit themselves to renewed citizenship and patriotic empathy moving forward. You can learn more on our website. We'd love HASP members to join us in helping bind up our nation's wounds. The second initiative is one-on-one conversations. Each one consists of 2 one-hour online conversations using a conversation guide. And I'd like to mention 2 types of one-on-ones. One conversation pairs a conservative and a liberal, and another conversation pairs someone who lives in a rural area with someone who lives in an urban or suburban area. During this era of COVID-19, conversations occur via an easy-to-use online platform called All Sides Connect. The Braver Angels one-on-one process emphasizes storytelling, listening, and learning rather than declaring or debating. Both people share and learn. Neither is teaching the other or giving feedback on how to think or say things differently. We're especially looking for participation by conservatives and rural dwellers. We hope you'll engage in a one-on-one conversation. In Kimberly Mendel's email, you'll see a link to register your interest in participating in a one-on-one conversation. Now, according to Jonathan Haidt's excellent book, The Righteous Mind, Why Good People Are Divided by Politics and Religion, a good part of whether we're liberal or conservative is genetic. For the most part, we're not going to change each other, so let's learn to live with each other. Besides, honestly, liberals and conservatives need each other, like yin and yang, or for a more American example, like ketchup and mustard. If you want a tasty hot dog, use both. Braver Angels is a member-funded organization. I'd like to ask you to support our work of bringing Americans together by joining right now. It only costs $12 a year, although we appreciate it when people give more. Have you ever heard of Text to Join? The National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. uses it. And we use it too. So you can pull out your cell phone if you have one and get ready to send a text message. On my cell phone, I click on the picture of the word cloud. If I'm texting in a text, if I'm already in a text chain with someone else, I get out of it and start a new text by clicking on the picture of a pencil. In your to box for the text message, type 66866. In the message box, type BA, then hit send. You'll immediately receive a thank you for pledging to join us and a link to our website's join page. Isn't that cool? You can also visit the Braver Angels website at braverangels.org and click on Support Us in the top right-hand corner. Here's a slide with 3 of our local Braver Angels organizers. They'd be happy to hear from you. Now, let's have some fun. Before we do a Q&A where you ask me questions, I'm going to ask you 2 questions via an online poll. Please answer the questions and then click Submit. Leo, please launch the poll. There we go. So first question is, pick one key cause of political polarization. People sorting themselves geographically into like-minded communities, media and social media that profit financially from keeping us polarized, a change in the magnetic field of the earth, or Gutenberg's invention of the printing press in the 15th century. And Leo, you've got one other question?
I do. It looks like nobody has voted yet. Are people having trouble seeing a poll that's popping up? No poll.
The only one that I see is pick one key cause of political polarization.
It looks like, oh, you do see that. Okay.
I see that one, not the other one.
Who voted?
I can only do one at a time. So I'm waiting for this one to close. But what I see is 0 people have voted on it. But maybe I'm
No, we have 51 people who have voted.
Yeah, we have voted.
My indicator for how many people have voted must not be working. So I'm going to end this one and do the other one. Here is the perfect.
Okay, and this one is, are you interested in attending a Braver Angels workshop or debate? Yes, no, or maybe. Now guys, you know what answer is going to make me happiest.
Once again, I don't have an indicator for how many have voted, so you tell me.
50 out of 62.
Great.
Not allowing me to submit.
Huh.
Donna, I have a question. If 2 people are sharing a microphone or a computer, do both votes count, or how does the second person register?
I don't think the second person can if they're sharing a computer.
You must find Braver Angels consensus amongst your own house.
That would seem to account for why the numbers don't match the attendance.
Could be, yes.
Okay. Okay, when you're ready then, yeah, I think you go ahead and close the poll and show us the results.
Okay.
Leo.
Did this work for you? Do you see anything?
Let's see. I don't
Yes,
see
we do
the poll
now.
results.
I'm seeing the results.
Oh, you are? Okay.
We
Well,
saw
this
the
is-
results, but then it seemed to start over and then show the new. It was weird. There's always an issue with Zoom. It wouldn't be in a virtual meeting if there wasn't some kind of issue.
Thank you, Sarah. You're absolutely right. Okay. Well, I think we at least saw that people did not choose the problem of the change in the magnetic fields of the Earth or the Gutenberg Bible. They did choose the other 2 choices, which actually are true causes of polarization. And that at least some people are maybe or definitely interested in attending a Braver Angels event, and you're going to get the chance to do that. So just keep an eye out for the email you're going to get from HASP about that. Okay, so now with that, I'd like to go ahead and open up the Q&A portion. Okay, so there's 2 ways you can ask a question. The first is by raising your electronic hand. So I'd like at least a few people to go ahead and do that at the beginning. The second way is, again, opening up your chat box and then choosing Kim Mendelson, but she's being called HASP Virtual Classroom. So choose HASP Virtual Classroom and type in a question for me to answer, and she'll make sure that I get it. And don't be shy. You can tell that I'm not shy, otherwise I would not be lead organizer. Otherwise I would not have asked you to join Braver Angels already. And remember that email, the URL is braverangels.org.
I'm
Okay,
going to ask a question just to get things started, only because I know this came up in our breakout room.
go ahead, Sarah.
So this is a fake question since I know the answer, but it'll probably get other questions rolling. So when someone becomes a Braver Angels member, can you say more about what they get access to in terms of training and resources that are on the website?
This is indeed a planted question. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
So first of all, they can have access to our member meetings. This is a meeting once a month where we have some wonderful speakers to talk about various issues of interest to our members, and they can learn better what's going on, the latest and the greatest at Better Angels. Also, if they're a member, they can receive free training to be a debate chair or to be a moderator. And also they can become a Zoom event manager. These are all cool things that you receive training for and practice in. They help us obviously to with online events, but they help you too because you suddenly get to be a cool Zoom event manager. It helps your own growth, if you will, intellectually. Okay, I'm not seeing any more raised hands. So let's see. Okay, we have a question. Michael Radke, please go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, good morning. Donna, how do participants change or how do they feel after attending a Red Blue workshop or a skills training?
Thank you, Michael. So regarding the skills training, that's about skills on how to have conversations without these conversations going off the rails, if you will. I can tell you personally, my brother who lives up in Rochester, New York, I live in Virginia, he is of the opposite political persuasion as me. And after taking the skills workshop, I was able to have a really nice civil conversation, a conversation with humor and love about political matters. And I learned better how to listen and how to speak so that I could be heard. Regarding Red Blue workshops, basically some people have become friends. Well, when it's physical, we sit people red, blue, so you kind of have to talk to the person next to you who's the other political persuasion. But even online, which we're going to be starting soon, it's a way to spend a good amount of time with people who are different than you, but given the makeup of the workshop, you learn to respect and to listen to, and you find out, gosh, those people on the other side, they're not bad people. Gosh, I guess we could be friends, even though we disagree. Okay, we have a question from Fred and Barb Bright. Please unmute yourselves and ask your question.
I'm curious if you've done any of these sessions with any members of Congress or any kind of government agencies.
Yeah, good question. So we tend to be a grassroots organization by design. No Labels is a grass tops organization that is quite specifically working with members of Congress. But we did do a Red Blue workshop with the staff of 2 Congress people, 1 red and 1 blue in Minnesota. So that worked out quite well to bring the staff members together. And we're happy to do more with grass tops or people in the middle when requested. We were moving more in that direction and then COVID-19 hit, right? Okay.
Wasn't that covered in the news, Donna, too? So if you wanted to look that up, you could probably find a write-up about it. I know I read an article about that specific workshop in Minnesota.
Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, Mike and Beverly Ranow, you have a question? You got to unmute yourself.
Sorry, I forgot I was muted.
Okay.
I would like to know how to handle people online. Specifically, I see this a lot in Facebook amongst some people that, I have friends who are on the other side, opposite to myself, and they frequently post information that when I fact check it is not true. And how to handle that in a reasonable, in a way that kind of gets through to these people that they should check their facts before they start spreading posts that have unfactual information.
Right, that's a tough question because some of those people will think that your facts are wrong, that your facts are fake. That's what it's come to in this day and age. But what we do with our Braver Angels debate is that we have a process where after someone has spoken in the debate, another person can do a call to order and state that they believe that a fact that the person cited was incorrect, and this is the correct fact. And then the debate chair can decide either to recognize that fact or to leave it to the people's own discernment as to what they think about that fact. So yeah, this is a really tough one these days because people do come in with their own facts that they ardently believe in. And we're not about alienating folks. We are about listening to, but hopefully if you listen to them, they are much more likely to listen to you. That's what I can say.
I couldn't find a hand wave to let you know I wanted to say something.
Okay, go ahead.
I've been reading a book by Gore Vidal, and he does a wonderful job of doing historical quote novels, and it's 1876 is the novel. And it's so amazing how much was going on then, just like now, with divisions of classes and political things. And it's really interesting to get a kind of a historical view. And I can check back with the names that he puts in there, and they are people. And so it makes it interesting to me. It makes me look into history more.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have another question. Is there an active chapter in Holland already? And David, I'm going to let you take that if you want to unmute. David Moore.
Thank you, Donna. We have a steering committee. You've seen the names of the three of us, Peter, Tom, and myself. We cover the West Michigan shore from Holland, Saugatuck, and South Haven. We are looking to start a chapter of Braver Angels here. We are searching for Reds to be part of the steering committee because the three of us are blue. So if there's anybody out there listening who has a purple or red persuasion and would like to join us in that endeavor, we'd love it. We would love to have a local organization in which we could work together, learning about each other and learn how to work on common goals within the communities that we represent. Thank you for that question.
Okay, thank you, David. We have a question by David Blatt. Would you please unmute yourself, David Blatt, and ask your question?
So I'm better at listening to people who disagree with me at work than speaking my point of view. And because I'm kind of a shy guy, is this weird and rare? Can Braver Angels help me with this? I fear that my silence may fail to raise some important ideas. Thanks.
Right, David. So I recommend that you do take our Skills for Bridging the Divide workshop. We have a version that's online, kind of like you'll see it online and it's free. We also have a version where you start with that one and then we do practice sessions. And I recommend that. So basically, we start with being able to listen to people on the other side, but that doesn't mean that all you should do is listen, because that kind of invalidates your own beliefs and views. We want you to share your beliefs and views as well. There's just, we offer ways to do it so that people can hear you. In other words, if you yell and if you call somebody else names, they'll be right on the defense. They won't hear you. But if you are mild, calm, and you listen to them, then do please share your own beliefs, because that's part of this process. Thank you.
Can I add something, one quick thing to what you said, Donna?
Go for it. And I want to tell people that Sarah Brabs is our co-coordinator for Braver Angels in Michigan. So she is a head honcho here in Michigan. Please go ahead, Sarah.
Great. Well, since you called me out, Brian Golden is my counterpart. He's also on
he's
this.
on the call. I'm sorry. So you're a co-head honcho. I didn't realize Brian was on the call.
So with the skills workshop specifically related to your question, one thing that I've noticed when we ran one here in the Ann Arbor area last fall is, one, this is so much harder with politics to have these conversations, but the way that they teach the skills workshop gives you a step by step to be better heard and better understood, because there are actually missing steps that don't happen in conversations in general listening wise, but also especially when it's around politics that people miss. So that's why that skills workshop, they're so good at doing a step-by-step and giving you practice, because once you implement that, you'll have much better success at being understood and of course understanding. So I just highly recommend anyone take that workshop. It's a well done workshop.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. The other questions I'm seeing are kind of repeats. Any other questions? Anybody want to raise hand or type in a question?
Donna, could I say one more thing about the skills workshop?
Please go for it.
Which is, during that workshop, you role play the other side. I found that to be the most enlightening and opened my mind in ways that I could see and understand points of view that I actually carried that were not different from my counterpart. And I think that bridge of empathy that occurred led me to being, I think curious is the word, very curious about knowing people who are on the other side rather than fearful of them. It changed my mindset and got me involved in Braver Angels. I would really encourage people to do that workshop. As Sarah said, it's quite a remarkable experience.
Yes, David and Sarah, really participating in our workshops can be, in a sense, a life-altering experience because it broadens you. You go from, for many of us, we're in a closed bubble of people who are all on our side and maybe somewhat contemptuous of people on the other side. For the future of America, that is entirely unhealthy. And so we want people to be able to have conversations. We're not about people coming together in the mushy middle. We're not asking you to change your views on any particular topic, but we are asking you to be aware of the views on the other side, to listen to the views on the other side. And you know what? There may be some truth to what other folks are saying. And if not, we shouldn't treat each other as pariahs. We can still treat each other as neighbors, as friends, as coworkers. We can still come together even though we disagree. That's the Braver Angels way. Okay, so with that, I think I'm going to turn things back over to our HASP officials. Please go for it.
Thanks everyone for being here this morning. It's almost 10:30, which is our normal ending time for a meeting. We appreciate your participation this morning, and especially grateful to Donna and to David for bringing this presentation to us. If you'd like to stay on for 5 or 10 more minutes with additional comments or individual questions, please feel free to do that. But otherwise, we thank you for joining our first remote monthly program. And let's see, Claudia, are you here? Do you want to speak about next month for August?
I'm here. Thanks, Kim.
Yep.
Yes. Next month, our speaker is going to be David Knibbe, Executive Director at Evergreen Commons, and he is going to speak on the topic of being older. And I believe that date is August 4th, and we will start at 9:30, and I don't think you're going to want to miss that. He has a lot of insight into speaking to people in what I will call our generation. So hope you will join us next month on August 4th at 9:30.
Thank you, Claudia. Barbara Stedgink, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I don't really, except to say thank you for joining us this morning. And we hope to see you all next month.
Thank you, Barbara.